Hello and welcome to Don't Feed the Geeks, presented by the Long Island Comic Guys, the masters of the geeky verse. Welcome back, geek freaks. I am TC, one of your co-hosts, joined today by JJ.
What up, guys?
Another co-host. And in place of Toy Story today, we have a special guest, Mr. Tom P. There he is. You may remember him from our Batman episode with Bojo.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was
over a year ago.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about a topic today that Tom is pretty much an expert on. We're talking about statues and 6-scale figures.
Nice.
Focusing on those, we can get into a lot of other collectibles and stuff, at another time. But I feel like there's enough here to keep us busy.
So we're here together.
This is our first in person in months,
and it's the first time we're in my new basement studio.
Yeah,
together,
new and improved studio.
You guys can't see the rest of it, but it's very impressive.
It's not very impressive. The rest of it, just what they see, is impressive.
There is nothing but Action Comics
everywhere.
You just tore them up. That's the wallpaper.
His address is 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
It's nice. It's nice to be together. Instead of being on a phone.
Yes.
So it's cool.
I agree. Before we jump into that statues topic, though, we're going to turn it over to JJ, who's going to take his try at the Geek Beat in place of Toy Story.
I'm not as good as Toy Story, but let's start this off. So it was just announced that Carl Urban had a cameo in Star Wars, the last episode. The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, I did not know that.
He had a cameo. He was another stormtrooper.
Wow.
I kind of love the fact that all these A-list guys, well, Carl Urban might be an A-list to some people.
He is.
Listen, the guy was he was in Star Trek, and he was Judge Dredd?
One of his. Judge Dredd is definitely an underrated film. That is phenomenal.
I totally to see that. Phenomenal. I have to get around to watch it.
Oh, you have to.
It's you can't compare it to, because one's funny, the one with Sylvester Stallone.
I don't think it was more intentionally, but
this one is a little more serious.
Yes.
But he
killed in that role.
What?
He killed in that role.
Oh my God!
That was one of the times I think I went to, probably the last time I went to Best Buy and had a hard time finding a DVD there. Like, oh, we're sold out. I'm like, you sold out of a DVD? It's Best Buy DVD. It's like, no, we're sold out.
And it's only that one movie. I've only seen that once. Yeah. Like, I've never even seen it, and I want to, because it's never been on any streaming platform.
No,
I don't ever remember it being on like HBO or Showtime.
It was.
I think it was like it was one of the cables, but it was like Cinemax. It was like one of those like.
It was like Efx. we got the movies. This is not an advertisement for Efx.
I saw it in the movie theaters in 3D.
Nice. Wow.
And it is a violent film, so it's like the violence in 3D. I'm like, well, they stepped it up a lot.
It was cool. So he joins the ranks of Daniel Craig was a stormtrooper, and so was he actually got screen time. Prince Harry and Prince William also had a cameo, but that was cut.
Yeah.
So, he was a stormtrooper.
Simon Pegg.
Very cool.
Simon Pegg. Yeah. Well, Simon Pegg,
stormtrooper.
He had
like
other roles.
Guy, right?
Yeah. So he joined the ranks of being in the Star Wars trilogy. So I guess he's another one I got to get on my poster. I guess. Right. Other news, Kevin Smith is working on an animated Green Hornet series.
I heard about that.
Pretty exciting. I actually like Green Hornet. I thought the movie was lame, the one with Rogan.
I thought it was funny when I first saw it. I'm like, oh, this is enjoyable. Then the more I knew about the character, I'm like, I like this movie less and less.
Yeah.
I liked Kato in that movie, but I liked Seth Rogen.
I like the comic book. I've read back a long time ago. I read part of it. I enjoyed it. So I'm curious to see how this is going to go. I know Smith is a huge fan of
comics
and Green Hornet. So we'll see what that is. But
he does well with those like offshoot characters, like Green Arrow. He had a very awesome run with, underrated run.
Yeah. Daredevil too.
Daredevil.
Yeah.
He had a great comic run.
Rising, I wasn't a huge fan of his Batman, but like his Daredevil, his Green Arrow, all like his lesser known characters, I've really liked it. So.
And that's going to be about the kids, right?
Yeah. It's the kids of Kato, and
so it's the son of the Green Hornet and the daughter of Kato, right?
Yep,
that's what I thought I saw.
So
that's interesting. That's going to be animated?
Animated.
Right? Yep. And did they announce where it's going to be?
No, they did not. I was looking pretty hard to see what platform it's going to be on, but
interesting.
Nobody said anything. We'll see. I'm excited to see it because I like Kevin Smith's his work. It's pretty good. More Star Wars news. Emmy nominations came out yesterday. Mandalorian, 15 Emmys nominated.
That's impressive.
Huge 15.
That's pretty crazy.
One of the biggest talks of this is the nomination for Outstanding Character Voice Over Performance, and that would be for the guy that played the voice IG-11.
Taiki.
Yeah, that guy. So that is apparently it's a huge deal because I guess a lot of the voiceover that's a nomination.
I didn't even know that was a category.
Yeah. So it's pretty big. So 15, one for best drama, including best drama. They didn't list the other ones. Outstanding production design, outstanding cinematography, and there's more.
Did you guys watch any of those, like the behind the scenes making for the Mandalorian? No. They built this. So they built this 360 like digital like background. Mm-hmm. So they have like the ground and forework, but they show you in scenes. So there's scenes where they're walking in a 360 degree screen. So it's like it was like technology that he was working on. Well, Jon Favreau was working on like during the Jungle Book, and he just kept evolving it, and it came to this level. It was actually something when I was watching it, George Lucas mentioned that he had started something similar to it, but the technology wasn't there yet to where he wanted it, which is basically what it is now. Anyone who hasn't watched it, especially if you guys haven't seen it, definitely watch like the making of the Mandalorian.
I have to catch it. It's been on my list to watch. I just haven't had a chance.
It's so good. George Lucas, because George Lucas was cutting edge when he was making Star Wars. So I think it's only fitting for like their first big like TV show.
100%.
Outside of the holiday special.
I mean
like that, but
their whole thing is like they've always built the technology for what they wanted to do. Yeah. Like they were building it on the spot, which has always been a cool thing about Star Wars.
And Watchmen did really well at the Emmys, I heard too. I haven't seen it yet, but they got a lot of nominations.
I haven't
seen it, but that's big for the comic book world.
I'm excited for this. 15. Yeah. I mean, if they can pull out all 15, which it's not far fetched. I don't know the other who else been nominated for all this.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, it's quite exciting.
I mean, it was all over the news when it came out, Mandalorian. So I didn't hear a negative review from anybody about that
Tiger
show.
King up there? I think that's important to know. Any
that's another one I haven't seen.
So that guy, what's his name? Taiki Watudu or something?
Watudu, yeah.
He's also director of a few episodes too, because he's the director of Ragnarok.
Yes.
Because he does Korg and stuff like that. Okay. He's like a big time director.
So very exciting.
Underrated. If what we do in the shadows.
I have to watch that. It looks hilarious.
Movie though.
I heard the movie's old though, right?
The movie's by a couple of years old.
Yeah, because it's him and that other guy, the guy who's the star. Yeah, I have to watch that. Is it on demand? It's FX, right?
Yes. If not, I have it on DVD.
What is this?
Cool. What We Do in the Shadows.
I haven't heard of it.
It's a vampire comedy, like real world thing. It's really good.
No, but it looks like the commercials look hilarious.
The TV shows are.
All right, so here's some pretty cool news, and the trailer dropped yesterday. Death in the Family. Batman.
Huge.
Animation.
Huge.
DVD, Blu-ray.
I didn't do the hand gesture, but yeah.
This is huge. And huge. The reason why this is huge, so this is part of the whole DC animated line. They're bringing back, Bruce Greenwood as Batman, Gary Cole as the Commissioner, Don DiMaggio for Joker, and Vincent Martella as Jason.
And Cole is doing Two-Face too.
Yes, he is.
It's pretty epic.
What makes this different is this is the first DC animated cartoon that you decide what happens.
Like the comic.
Just like the comic in the 90s where you were given a 900 number and you decided, does Robin die or does he live? This one it's interactive. So there's going to be certain cutscenes as you're watching it and you press on your controller what direction you want it to go. You can kill Robin over and over and over again as much as you want.
But it plays out further than that too, which I heard is crazy. First of all, it's going to be shorter, so it's not going to be like the full hour and a half they normally do. It's going to be a little shorter because there are so many options. But they're going to do it like there's the option to save Robin, let Robin survive on his own, gets out, or Batman saves him. But then they can play off of there. Like, do you let Red Robin die then and get rid of like Tim Drake's character, or do you let like
it's pretty deep. They've gone several directions on this.
Netflix did something like this, right? With one of their shows with like it's like Choose Your Own Adventures or something like that.
Black Mirror.
Yeah, Black Mirror. Yeah, we watched the season of that. Yeah.
So this I'm excited for this. So when this comes out, it's going to come out in fall, October 13th. It's going to be on Blu-ray and digital. If you buy the Blu-ray, you do get an extra 5 minutes of additional content, more footage. And there's also a combo pack. So not only do you get this movie, but you also get a short of Sergeant Rock, Adam Strange, Death, and the Phantom Stranger. So there's more
They're
cartoons.
very underrated, their shorts. There was a couple of epic ones they've had, like on earlier ones. I think it was The Spectre had a really good one.
Yes, I've seen that. Yes.
Jonah Hex had a good one.
Yep.
You know what? You can say what you will about the DC universe in film, but their animation.
Their animation is fantastic. It blows everything out of the water.
Duds maybe out of everything, but going on 10 years.
Of course, the one I saw in the theater was
but
the Killing Joke. Yeah, that's horrible.
That was not great, but and the voice acting was a little stale in year one. But everything other than that, I mean, always enjoyable.
Yeah,
I've never really, besides a few, outwardly hated any of these films.
I'm a huge fan of all of them. Yeah. I think I've seen them all so far, and they're just fantastic.
Under the Red Hood, so another.
And that is supposed to be the continuation of that. So they rope all that into, because when I watched the trail, I was like, wait a minute, they've already done this part Under the Red Hood. So it's all linked, which is kind of cool. Last one I have is tomorrow. Umbrella Academy comes out.
Yes, or 3 days ago, if you're listening.
Or 3 days ago.
Or listening or watching now.
Yes.
Yes, the 31st it came out.
31st. Yep. 10 episodes we got. And season 2, I'm excited.
I know what me and my wife will be doing tomorrow night.
Oh.
And it's watching TV, not what everyone.
I'll pretend.
Never with the other thing.
Did you watch it?
I did not.
Nope.
It was good.
It came out in that time cramp of so many shows coming out, like Deadly Class. I think came out around the same time. It's I got lost in so many shows.
I haven't seen that one.
It's definitely worth watching. It's definitely worth watching. Umbrella Academy.
I want to see more Monkey Man. I'm a big fan of Monkey Man. I don't know what his name is, but I like Monkey Man. The guy's the monkey, the ape.
I don't know. After
the actual ape or the
guy that plays the monkey in
Pogo?
Is that his name? Pogo. I like Pogo.
Well, because the other guy is half monkey.
That's
the
right.
Big guy.
Yeah.
Number one or whatever.
Number one.
Characters. Was it Hit Monkey and Detective Chimp?
Detective Chimp is actually pretty cool. Anyone who's wearing that Sherlock Holmes outfit, tweed, a monkey wearing tweed, it's hard to beat that.
So that's
JJ. Can you grab me a water out of that
fridge?
We even have a fridge now.
We have a fridge in here.
Look, we're good. People can watch us now.
Would you like a water?
Yes, I would.
All right.
Or a beverage that isn't water. It's not.
I don't have any alcohol. It's just
there's soda. So.
I don't believe in drinking right now. The next 30 minutes.
All right. Yes, that's our fridge. All right. I'm gonna have a Dr. Pepper.
Do we have to cover the logos? Are we sponsored?
No. I'm ripping mine off.
All right, so that's what I had.
All right, awesome. Well done with the Geek Beak, JJ.
This is not.
Who usually does it? I don't even remember.
I don't know.
Do we have somebody else on the show?
They're easily replaced children.
We're gonna keep him doing.
No, we'll keep him. We don't know anything about Photoshop, so we need.
This is true.
All right, so we're going to jump into our topic today, which is statues and 6-scale figures.
Nice.
I think all of us have one or two of those, right? More than we like to say. Hey, by the way, I hate you.
You're welcome.
I hate you. Tom is the reason I have way more than I should. So let's start off with kind of statues. So you have busts, you have the full figure statues, you have life-size statues. I mean, there's pretty much a gamut. Is there anything I'm leaving out here at this point?
No.
All right. So I guess my first question was, and this is kind of, I guess, directed at you, unless JJ knows too, who was really the first in the game in terms of statues that made them legitimate?
I mean, there was hard heroes in the early 90s. There was a couple of companies doing Marvel stuff. They weren't always hits, mostly misses, but there was a couple of companies that started off.
And DC Direct early on was kind of doing
DC Direct was big. They kind of got the late 90s, early 2000s, but I think Randy Bowen's the first one that really
And that's what I was thinking. I knew you were in it earlier than I was, and I know you've been in it earlier too, even though I got in it late. Again, I hate you.
Don't worry,
I made up for the years I missed. But so Randy Bowen, when did he show up on the scene?
He was actually around in the early 90s. He started with that DC stuff. You might have seen it. The famous statue of Superman from Jerry Seinfeld in the background of the Seinfeld.
Was that a
That's
Bowen?
an early one. That's
awesome.
Movie. That one, and he had a Bowen Batman on a gargoyle. Was doing like a vengeance kind of pose with a fist up off the top of the gargoyle.
Like, why?
I found it one day and I was so hyped that I found it. It was awesome. And then I turned it over. I'm like, after I bought it, of course, and there's no number on the bottom. I'm like, oh man. Then I got introduced into the world of customs. So at that time, bootleg statues.
Well, we'll get into that later. But, so what's the deal with him now? So I know you might have a little bit of the background. We haven't seen, what's it been, like 10 years now or more that we haven't seen a Bowen statue?
It was right around the time that Marvel was purchased by Disney. They were going, so like Bowen's always kind of like an not like their quality wasn't there, but they were always like leaning more towards the affordable. They were in the crazy prices of like, $500-$600 a statue.
And they also weren't like ridiculous size either. They were all like, 12-inch kind of size.
Yeah, they were all 6 scale basically. They were never like too crazy. Like, I mean, he does have an awesome, like going on the scale of it, like Sentinel. Yeah, a very awesome one. And Galactus, which I own, that's in 7 pieces. So I'll get that one back together one day. Did some bigger stuff, but like towards the end, they were getting bigger. His Mojo was pretty big, but Mojo is a bigger character. But it was the prices were starting to get inflated, and I heard there was some rumblings that Disney was very particular on like what manufacturers were used, and was kind of driving up the price from what he wanted to be at. And I think it was right around the time we just like kind of faded out, which was weird because he was actually selling through Sideshow at the end, which would have been his main competitor.
Oh wow!
So his last couple statues came out that way.
I don't imagine that had a lot of that had to do with the licensing that Disney would charge on top of what the actual price would be too, because they're astronomical on their licenses.
Oh, absolutely.
I would imagine.
It's a business at the end of the day, and now it's a company that owns a company. Whereas if it was just Marvel, Marvel around the time, like remember, like up until 2008 when Iron Man came out, they were a company that was basically giving away rights to try and hit some kind of like lottery. So, the licenses weren't super expensive. Like nobody was going crazy on licenses, and DC was doing it in house with DC Direct. So they didn't really have competition coming out that way. So Bowen was on his own basically, and he was running the game. And then Sideshow kind of got in it like, mid 2000s, and they kind of stepped in it in a big way. And they did quarter scale, which was where your prices started going up. Yeah, and then from there, it just changed the game.
So they started off doing monster stuff, right? I think they had like the Universal Monsters, because I did some research into it. And I was like, when did they actually show up on the scene? And I think it was like, so they did a couple smaller pieces in like 94, but I think by 99 was when they started doing their own stuff, and it started with the Universal Monster stuff. But you're saying like kind of like mid 2000s is when they started really getting their hands on like all that superhero
like
stuff.
2003, I think up is like when you started getting their bigger stuff. There was more of the experimental stuff in the beginning. Like you did see like they had the dioramas early on, whereas it was a very awesome one if you can find it. Punisher versus Daredevil, like battle on a rooftop. There was the Iron Man. Well, Iron Man was fighting, but there was Red Skull. It was Red Skull versus Captain America on a staircase. Thor versus Loki. It was from pretty good ones. There's actually a Blade versus Dracula. Also an awesome one. And then there's the infamous, very expensive now, hard to find, Spider-Man versus Hulk.
Yes.
Which is a rare piece.
That's beautiful. That's the one that lights up with the lights, right?
The exclusive did.
Yeah.
There was the regular one, there was the exclusive, and then there was the exclusive, which was Gray Hulk with the lights.
Yeah, I think Jimbo Slice has the lights one, and I'm trying to convince him to give it to me.
Yeah. And then if you're going back to their big hit, you have to go back to Dr. Doom too. That one is like one of the quintessential Grail pieces.
That's on the throne, right?
Doom on the throne, and the exclusive with like the his chalice.
So was that a different one? So is there another one where he's like looking? He has like the mask in his hand.
There's 2 or 3 now. There's 2 or 3 custom ones.
Oh, so that's a custom.
That is you call it fan art. Yeah, there's many different names it goes by now, but yeah, that's a custom piece.
Gotcha.
But I do like that Doom is like one of the quintessential pieces. Like if you're gonna start a collection, like a round one, that would be one to start with.
So they also do. Yeah, that's so great. We gotta pop that up on the screen.
I'm gonna do that next time. I gotta do that next time.
When it goes up on YouTube, that's where you're gonna see. If you didn't see it
I have the technology to do it.
Well, we can do it for the video later. We're not doing it live.
I should only talk about statues I have and I'm selling. Just like,
and this one is for sale for $9.99. So we'll take a little break there. So there's also the 6 scales. For people who don't know, 6 scales are basically like 12-inch figures that are basically like the old school G.I. Joe, like 12-inch figures, but like blown to like the most detailed proportion, pretty much. Is that right?
Basically the articulation was like the big selling point.
See, I should have had some of these out because I have them all.
I know
it drives me nuts.
I
got some right behind you. I should have.
Believe all the things that are
I have it all.
So many.
So did they come up around the same time, or were they like later on?
No, that was later on. Like Hot Toys, I think, is the main one that was pushing it. Like you've seen like 6 scale, there was always kind of like people would make stuff like that. It was always kind of like,
well, Sideshow does their own too, right? Which aren't as good. They've done a couple like Sideshow 6 scale.
Yeah, because I have those. All my Star Wars ones are just Sideshow. They're not Hot Toys.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So everything you see on the shelves in there, that's all Sideshow 12-inch.
Yeah. I don't know if I know Sideshow started with like DC when they started doing their own stuff. They started with like a Batman and a Superman, which it's like hit or miss. I think it's a little easier because I think Hot Toys does it based off movies. So you have a little bit more of a likeness there, whereas Sideshow it's a little harder. It's like, well, this is our idea what Batman should like. So it's like, okay, if you don't like it, then they made like different colors because it's clothing now you're dealing with more than it's a statue of like, so I guess at the price point too, people are willing to buy variants of them more.
It's interesting with those because compared to like the statues where you're in like the 4 to 6 to well beyond $100 range, and you see those for like $200, like, oh, that's not bad. But then I look at it and I think for a moment, I was like, it's really just a glorified G.I. Joe. It's a glorified $200 G.I. Joe.
And when I start, that was a problem I fell into. That's a rabbit hole all in itself.
Yeah.
Like, when I first saw the Sideshow collectible 12-inch Star Wars, they were all stormtroopers when they first came out. So, they're great and all that. They were $150, $200 at the most. And you got to buy them all. But, I would have taken that money and probably started getting more into the statues because, they're not really that exclusive.
So hardly any of them are numbered. So that's kind of
none of them are numbered.
Yeah, I did not know that.
But they do have an exclusive and a regular version. But it's the exclusive is a base. The base is different, or it may come with an extra little tiny gun that's doesn't. But for the price point of spending $200 on something like that, where anybody can buy them. There's thousands of them out there compared to buying something else that's limited. A mythos Boba Fett down here. Who's got a 300 limit on it for probably the same price or double the price of buying 2 of those.
How many of those would you say that you have in terms of the like the 6 scale stuff?
Probably about 30.
Wow. What about you?
I would say no more than 10. I kind of I got into it and then saw, what actually stopped me hard from doing it was I saw Iron Man 3. And when they have that scene when he's the house party and all the suits came out, I'm like, Hot Toys. I just pointed, I'm like, all those are going to be on Hot Toys on Sideshow's website soon.
You were absolutely right.
And then there they were. It's like the super limited edition of Hot Rod that was seen for 30 seconds on the screen. I'm like, okay. I'm like, that's cool.
I think I have 2 right now. I almost bought a 3rd. That's the only one I regret not buying. So they had like a John Matrix from Commando, like the Arnold Schwarzenegger. Geez. That one was actually really nice. So I got that one. I got the First Order Trooper when it came out. So you have that one right over there. And the one I wanted to get was the Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker. I love, that was my favorite Luke Skywalker. Yeah. And I regret not getting that, but it's just, for $200, I was like, $100 I'd buy it. I'd buy it for $100, not $200.
The problem is, you buy one stormtrooper, you buy another one, and they're all different. You're screwed. And, then they just, I must have 30 different stormtroopers, and then you got the Boba Fett came out, and then the prototype Boba Fett came out, and then you got to get, then
did they make the Christmas special one too?
Yeah, they didn't make that one. Oh, they do have that. That's a statue, but not the articulating. Yeah. But, and then Darth Vader came out with the light up, base and the light up chest mount. You got to get that to fill it, to get the whole, empire in there. So thankfully I'm done buying those because I don't want them in. I even bought the one from Tommy at Best. It was the Dutch plate, those Dutch plates where they had the pattern, the blue pattern, porcelain, the porcelain.
Yeah.
I've got a Stormtrooper. It's a Sideshow Collectibles with that Dutch porcelain paint job on.
Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about. That was actually really nice, though. I know what you're talking about.
It's still in the box. I refuse to take it out of the box.
That's a really nice piece. That would look good with the rest of them. I like that.
There's a couple Hot Toys, though, that I do regret missing. Like the Dark Knight stuff. There, Heath Ledger's, I think, where they really hit the mark. It was a beautiful one.
He's great. I see those a lot, yeah.
And the Joker. They made the Joker for the 89 Batman.
The mime?
I have the mime one, yeah.
Yeah. Did they do the regular one, too?
I don't remember. They might have. I think they might have. I'm not sure.
They need to do a really nice Jack Nicholson statue. That needs to be like in my 89 Batman.
Funny story with that is the one where I stopped the Six Show. Like the last one I bought was Selena Kyle from The Dark Knight Rises, because I was on my way to actually Royal Comics. Thanks, Mike, for helping me out on this one. I went there. Royal Collectibles. Sorry. I was on my way there to buy the Bat Pod to put the Selena Kyle on from Hot Toys.
And that's a 12-inch. That was a 12-inch doll.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Bat Pod was like this big, and as I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't know. And then he's like, I would spend the money on a book, and I'm like, well, there's Werewolf by Night 32 over there. I'm like, you know what? I will buy this book. I will buy it. And boy, did that one pay off instead.
I think that's where I started falling off, especially with the Star Wars, the 12-inch, because you're buying the figures, the articulating figures. They're sitting there, and then all of a sudden they're coming out with a dewback that you put your Stormtrooper on top, or the speeder, and like these things are huge. And
you're in grown-up toys.
Okay, now it's bad enough that I do down there have the Jabba the Hutt 6-inch that goes along with them, but I also got the base, which was an extra added, along with the bedding, which was all extra. That piece alone is altogether, it's a couple $1,000. But it's just like, all right, you're buying one thing, but then to make it real, you got to buy the base.
Yep.
You got to buy the pillow. You got to buy the
Wow, they really get you.
It got overwhelming to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm not buying any more of these articulating 12-inch. And then I started buying more into the actual statues, because it got stupid after a while.
It was, and there's certain ones like I had to buy, like the 89 Batman, like a big Michael Keaton fan. But like again, just with comics, there are defects in these things. Like I have the ones where they had the real eye motion, which guys, I don't know about this. Like sometimes wherever you point him, his eyes would like rotate to go straight.
Yeah, no.
So they would go to an angle.
Oh.
So his went cross-eyed on me. Still trying to figure out how to fix that. But then they made the 89 Batmobile. Greatest Batmobile in my opinion. I'm like, do I want to spend $800 on a Batmobile that is now 3 feet long that I have no place to store?
You did get that, didn't you?
No, I had to stop. Because then it also had the base where, like in the movie where it would shoot down and then like in returns and then spin around. So I have that thing. I'm like, well, I could always spin it if it's in the wrong direction, put something on the other side. But again,
I guess that's where things fall apart when you're collecting these type of things.
And that's the problem with like, especially people like us, where we're not just collecting that one thing. Like I can understand if you're a Hot Toys person, you're just getting those, so it makes sense to get everything else that goes with it. But that's okay if you're not buying comics, if you're not buying premium format statues, if you're not buying video games or whatever else that is out there that you can possibly be into.
And that was the other deciding factors when Sideshow stopped making their 12-inch dolls and then started going exclusive to Hot Toys. I felt that they looked differently. So taking a Hot Toy Stormtrooper, comparing it to a Sideshow, there were some inconsistencies on it where you put them next to each other on a shelf, you knew that one was different than the rest of them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I'm not buying, and I don't own any Hot Toys. I may have one, but that's it. Like I didn't like the Hot Toys the way that they looked.
There was certain quality. I think they were really good when they first started, and like some of them now, I think they did the. I actually bought it. I don't know where the hell I put it, but it was the War Machine Punisher variant.
Okay.
So like that was pretty cool. Like again, when the robotic and it's metal, it's like
that was a
Transformer
cool
thing, like
looking
nostalgia.
thing. Yeah.
But like it's like, where does it go from there? Like even the 112 scale ones. You ever see like the little ones? I can't remember the company that does them. They do a super detailed job, like $180, $150 a piece. But again, it's like what's your price limit?
I know, and that's the thing that they're probably trying to figure out the same thing, like how much detail and what price can we put on these to get the right person to buy it. And there's other companies that do it too. Like isn't Blitzway, like does Blitzway does a lot of these, right? Like 1/3 scale,
or I think they have a couple of 1/4 scale, but they do 1/3, I think. Also phenomenally did a Heath Ledger Joker. That's awesome.
The first time I heard their name, and I'm pretty sure it was from you, they did Jordan? That Rocky one.
Oh, they did. I have the Rocky statue. Yes, I have the quarter scale Rocky 2 with Butkus.
Yes, you have that one.
Yes, I do.
Ah, I want it. It had like, I remember the detail because it had like the satin coat and the tiger print on the back. Cool. I was like, that's awesome. Like that's something like I would have got.
Him and Butkus have the matching dog collar.
That's awesome.
Like he's got.
Do you know the story about that dog, by the way?
Well, that's the dog that he sold to make Rocky 1 and then bought back after Rocky 1 was a hit.
So the guy didn't want to sell him the dog back. Yeah. He sold him the dog for like $100. He had to pay the guy $3,000 the dog back.
Score.
That's like in Rocky 1 where they couldn't find anyone to be in the audience for the fight, so everything's dark in the background. Then Rocky 2, they actually sold out the spectrum.
Nice. Man, that's awesome. So since I brought up Blitzway, let's kind of like go back to statues. Who are the other big players in the game when it comes to statues, other than we know Sideshow makes a lot of these premium format things on their own.
So let me ask you something. So do we incorporate vehicles in the whole statue and everything like that? I mean,
well, what do you mean?
So like behind you, I have these are die cast metal. There's a Slave 1 behind you. This was a company called Code 3.
Oh yeah.
Code 3 was they're historically they're a maker of
helmets,
fire engine trucks, die cast fire engine trucks. Then I guess at one point in their life they've got the licenses for Star Wars and they put out vehicles from the movies, and these are heavy, and they're out of business now. I don't think they make any of this. These things you can't even find these things anymore. But I don't know. Do you consider those statues?
Yeah, I mean,
props?
I think so. They're pretty
they're detailed. And what I love about these here is they've got pieces where you can
do a close up of it for the video.
You can take some of the pieces off and interchange them, and when you take a piece off, it's got the internal mechanics of it. So you'll see piping and tubing, and you open up the side of the AT-AT over there, and you'll see the two guys sitting in there, the pilot sitting there, the Millennium Falcon. You can see the engines if you take the top off, but
that's cool.
They're heavy. It's die cast.
If you remember, like going back to like the 90s with the Franklin Mint, used to have like those cars where I still have like I think 10 or 15 of them where like they had the tool to open the hood.
That's what these are.
Yeah, like I think that's where this kind of like I don't know. Can't say it but it started like our fascination with models. Like
I guess that's where it kind of started. I would imagine like the Franklin Mint, selling all those,
So I think we're more susceptible to it, like as being nerdier people.
Yeah,
like, especially probably. With like Star Wars or comic books, or even like I'm a big horror movie buff too. I think we appreciate art a little bit more, than you can sell it for action movies and they do make it or whatever, but especially with comic books, like we're looking at art. So I think this is the closest we can come to owning like a real piece of art without owning like something from the comic book, which right. And it's like some of them it is affordable.
It's you're owning a piece of like 3D art. It's like something that you can see, you can touch, you can move it around.
And it's
again, I think we've said it a bunch of times. It's basically people selling nostalgia. Like, everyone's nostalgia. I mean, pretty much everyone is nostalgic about something. And, if you find the right brand or right product, you can pretty much sell it to
anybody.
Yeah.
No, I absolutely agree with that. And I think it hits a certain market, like where it's when we come into like the age group of having a disposable income.
Oh yeah.
I think that kind of goes hand in hand, like early 2000s, like when people that like grew up in the 60s started to get that money, and it's like all those like muscle cars from the 60s started to boom.
Yep.
Our generation
that was more probably like in the 80s, right?
Yeah. So our generation, our generation started getting that disposable income. So
I always feel like it's like about 20, whatever was kind of like hot 20 years ago, is pretty much, what the items
Janko
are.
jeans calling it. Coming back.
Anything may. I mean, like, look at it. I mean, just, this is a sports metaphor, but look at how, like, the uniforms are again. The shirts are, like, kind of shorter than they used to be.
Yeah.
Uniforms are tighter.
True.
Like, back when they were in the 80s. The 90s and 2000s, when I was a kid, everything was baggy and longer. I mean, all styles change. I mean, Pokemon just blew up again. Like, it was big for a while, but the cards, it's a huge thing to blow up. Super Nintendo, the video games, I think we're gonna have to have a full episode about this. But the video game grading is just blown up. We're going off track and statues, totally. But it's nostalgia is very, very profitable business to be.
So let's go back to the statues. So I brought up Code 3. Then there was another company called Master Replicas, which basically made props.
They were also Master Replicas was into Marvel.
They were, yes.
They had some Marvel stuff. So.
They had a lot of Marvel stuff. They had a lot of Star Wars. I only know them as Star Wars and Marvel. I'm not sure if they've done.
I think that was pretty much.
They went out of business. I'm not sure how they went out of business, but now they're slowly. There's a certain division that came back because they showed up at the last 2 Comic-Cons in New York, Comic-Con, but they're only focusing on dinosaur statues and the very cool Hal from Space Odyssey.
Oh, okay.
So you can buy the Hal. You hang it up on the wall and you press it and it actually talks real voice. They did all that, but that's but they got into the whole. And they also got into the NASA lunar,
which is big right now too.
Replicas of that and the statues from the boot prints and that, like I said, the dinosaurs. So they were a big one. So that's the only everything from Code 3 to Master Replicas.
Sideshow actually had a line of dinosaurs. If you didn't know that.
Yes, they did, and they still do.
I haven't seen.
And that's apparently a big market too, from my understanding.
Yeah,
I mean, those things sell out like crazy also.
Where are you going to find a fossil? So it's
it's crazy.
They're hitting that market.
And the other one that I know of is EFX. And they're a smaller company.
Were they doing the lightsabers?
They were doing lightsabers. I've got a few of their lightsabers. But they also do like the helmets. So if you see all my helmets, that's an EFX helmet. They also do the Rebel helmets. And they've done some Marvel. They've done the Captain America shield. And they've done a couple of the other types of helmets from the Avengers and stuff like that. Yeah. Nice.
So we're going back to the other companies.
Yeah, well,
I'm sorry. I was just
no. That's part of it. So a lot of those. I was thinking like the companies that are like kind of like they're not even competing with Sideshow so much because most of them are distributing through Sideshow.
Right.
But you have like Prime One, which Prime One has like.
3rd scale lockdown.
My favorite piece of my collection is a Prime One. It's a Spider-Man 2099 that they did.
Is that the one where he's like kicking his legs out, or he's on like the sphere, right?
Yeah, he's on the sphere that and it lights up and it changes like
the vampire teeth, right?
I didn't get the exclusive. I don't like it. I like the regular one, just the mask.
The other one is XM, which I have a brand new XM that's hasn't been unboxed yet.
The Aquaman?
That's the Aquaman, which I will be doing an unboxing very soon.
So you probably know this better than I do, at least. What's their deal with Marvel? Like, so they make Marvel stuff, right?
They can make 4th scale or anything else, but as long as it stays in their home country.
Okay.
Indonesia.
So as long as they're not coming over here doing it, that's why their smaller scale stuff like is open to buying in like I guess anywhere. So like you can buy the XM, I think it's like 5th scale they do of DC. You can buy that anywhere, but as an American, you can't buy directly from them any of their Marvel stuff that's not that scale.
Yeah.
I think Sideshow has a lock on it. So you have to go, which I do like their stuff. It is beautiful. It is massive, especially their first few pieces. Some of them, like some of the quality, I really like them. Some of them, like it varies. Like some of their poses were kind of like dull in the beginning. Some of them are awesome.
You got to jump through some hoops to get them.
Yeah,
right?
but it's like it becomes almost unaffordable. Like unless you're really in the game, you're really looking for it, you're gonna have a hard time just being like, oh, this is the next time I really want.
I've been seeing this Hulk blown up like crazy. The big giant Hulk with Bruce Banner.
On the front and
and that's
like,
the XM.
Expensive piece.
So that's
expensive if you get it here. If you can get it to the States,
you're paying the fees to ship it here too.
Yes,
and not only a fee usually because somebody that has the connection to buy it over there, you're paying them too,
and it's huge. I mean, from what I saw in a video, like I think one of the parts of the Hulk was the size of the guy's fist.
Yes.
And this guy was a lot bigger than me.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy cow, this beast must be huge.
And then ship that from Asia.
And it's like 7 pieces, 7 boxes. It's like a massive amount of boxes.
It's they're doing.
I already have a box problem.
Oh, yeah. I'm on a storage unit, my parents' house, and my place with comics, and my sister's.
I'm waiting for those to get graded next, the statues.
I hope not. I really hope not. Some might already grade.
The XM Marvel stuff is phenomenal. Like, I want to own a piece. I want to own
I just
some
saw
of them.
the what is it, the Iron Spider? They did one recently.
I didn't see that one.
It's ridiculous.
I want the Phoenix.
My Grail is
holy
always going to be
cow.
Ghost Rider.
What's that?
My Grail, the one I'm actually searching for that I'll always want, and it's just out of that range I'm comfortable spending on a statue.
Is that the one with like the fire wheel, the huge
yes,
fire
he's
wheel?
coming,
Oh,
he's
I've
coming
seen
on
that.
the angle where he's like coming up so the back wheel's almost dug in a little bit, so like coming from hell. Beautiful. Like one statue of the year. It was a big deal when it came out. It was like, that's it. Like you.
And that's XM?
That's XM.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm not a big fan of Phoenix, but I want the statue because it's beautiful. Like
and that's the crazy thing about like being a statue collector. You might like fall in love with something that's not even like a character that you're like a fan of.
I'm still hunting down. It was like $150. I don't know why I didn't buy it, but I was at a show and there was a Dazzler. Not a huge Dazzler fan, but the Bowen Dazzler was in front of me. I'm like, I want it.
Yeah.
I negotiated with the guy and this like was closing. I think my cousin was like walking out ahead of me. I'm like, I should have bought it.
I never heard of XM until I was at New York Comic Con and I saw the Aquaman. I was like, oh, I need this piece.
I was hunting down like when they first came out. It was like a big deal. Like I was on a bunch of statue forums, so it would pop up and it was like, they're releasing this. And I'm like, this is gorgeous. And I think one of their first ones, and the first one I really liked from them was a Black Widow, where they switch out head, where she had the long hair, where she had the short hair, like that 80s haircut she had. And like she's leaning up against like the fence and she's got the switch out guns. I'm like, I like that, but like, how am I going to get it here? Am I going to find it? And then I found that at New York Comic Con. I'm like, oh, it's going to be readily available. You know, it's going to be affordable. And then like everything kept coming out. Pieces got better. And I'm like, I can't find these.
Yeah, it's sad. It's a great, they make great stuff.
Did you see their Thanos?
I did see that.
With the Lady Death behind it. There's a new Thanos.
I didn't see that. I saw that wasn't Thanos. That was Darkseid.
Yeah. Darkseid. Look up their Thanos later though.
I will.
It's right here.
Yeah. I also had the Mara ordered for them because I was like, if I own this one, I got to buy that one too. So that's on order.
That's like another really good company, and I'm really liking their stuff, is Iron Studios.
Yeah,
there was another one mentioned
next. They did the Ghostbuster line. They did a bunch of good stuff, and then now they're doing the 1/10. Was it 1/10 scale?
Yes, and I was going to mention that I love that. I actually bought that. The favorite one that they've had
with the Superman.
Yes, on the flag. I had that.
Batman.
Like that was like when that came out. I was like, that was awesome. Like I had to get that right away.
It's super detailed.
Yeah,
it's like I was afraid. I'm like, this is gonna be so small. I can't justify spending the money on it. But it's super detailed.
It's like a little smaller than some of the Bowen stuff, and it's the great thing about that is like you can actually fit it somewhere
or something.
No, I think 1/10. I think 1/10 is right. Yeah,
but
I don't know. Their Iron Studio, it looks a little. Some of it looks very cartoony like.
But it depends what it is. I think there is some definitely. There's not everything that's in that scale that I like, but there is a bunch of them that they've done pretty well.
They actually burst on a scene with a statue I was telling you to get because it was super expensive and somebody was big into collecting at this point. They burst on the scene with a diorama of Superman fighting Doomsday, but it was an exclusive that wasn't coming here, and it was phenomenal looking.
Yeah, so it's just.
They're the ones that do the Dungeons and Dragons, which I really want.
Oh, the
Iron Studios.
They're also so they just did the Thundercats ones. Did you see the Thundercats?
Oh
one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you?
I ordered all of them.
Yeah. See, I was going to, and I didn't.
I really like this.
So, and that's the other problem with some of these. So, we'll get into, I guess, more of this, but the sizings of it. But like, something where you've got one statue, but you have to buy all 5, and they all piece together to form one. It's like Voltron.
Yeah.
5 lions form one big giant robot.
Except you're doing a full scale Voltron.
DC had a run when they were doing those, and the early DC Direct, like 2000s, whatever. Sometimes they hit a lull where they weren't so great, but they have a couple of them, and they're phenomenal. I know you're not a huge Green Lantern one. There was Green Lanterns all stacked up. Then they had Superman, where Superman's in the back, and you basically buy the statues, and you're piecing together like the Marvel Legends when you have like
and the toys, yeah.
So you buy the Superman, and then you would buy the characters, like there was Steel and Supergirl and Power Girl. I think Power Girl was in there, and then you buy them all, and then you assemble the Superman at the end when you put them all together.
Oh, that's
so I have
cool.
the Batman family, so it's Batwoman, Commissioner Gordon, Nightwing, Batgirl, and Catwoman and Robin. And then when you bought all like 3 of them, they each had a piece of Batman.
You're gonna have to show me a picture of that.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, no, those
so
were awesome.
Something like that, you're committed to buy all pieces because you buy one, you have to buy them all.
I think they did like a lot more of a number of one of them on the Batman one, where I was able to get that one cheap for like $80. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna buy these all for $80, and then I'm like, all right, well, I got the next one for 150,
and they
like,
go up from there.
I'm like, all right, well, I can't find this one. And they did that with if you would track it down later too. Sideshow did one where it was fighting Sentinels. It was the X-Men versus the Sentinels, and it was 3. And I think the Wolverine was easily found, and then it was like a Cyclops was very hard to find. like the characters you didn't normally buy got harder to find, and then the price went through the roof.
That's funny.
So there's a couple other ones that I thought worth mentioning. So like Kotobukiya is like one. They make a lot of nice stuff. Most of their stuff is pretty affordable. So they do a lot of like polystone stuff, right?
Yes.
So that stuff's a little bit more inexpensive. I think Tweeterhead kind of does a lot of the same. So they have some really nicer statues, and they have like almost like premium format size stuff.
Yes.
But they're not like the same super high quality, but they're beautiful. They're really nice pieces. I have a couple of the early ones. Yeah, like I really like they did a great Catwoman from the Batman 66. The Catwoman and Batgirl they did. Those were awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I actually wound up getting the first Catwoman that they did, like the Michelle Pfeiffer one. I wound up getting rid of that one because Sideshow did a premium format one that was just gorgeous. But they have really a lot of nice stuff. And then PCS Collectibles. So I found about them a little too late. They have a lot of I think they have like a lot of Dragon Ball Z. They have Power Rangers. They have Street Fighter. Licenses.
They hit the horror one too. They did
but they had Masters Universe early on, like the Filmation looking stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like I got to it too late. By the time I got to it, I think they're already up like Man at Arms, and I wanted the He-Man.
Who was that?
Like, the He-Man was PCS Collectibles.
Pop Culture
Shock. Shock.
Yeah. They also they're big for for video games, so they did a line of like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter.
Yep.
I knew about the Street Fighter. What got me into them was they did a Batman one where he's on like a gargoyle, but it mounts on the wall.
Yes, I did see that.
So
that was cool.
That was cool.
Yeah, because it had like a light on it. Yeah, like it connected to a light.
Oh, so they did some pretty cool looking turtles too.
The turtles,
yeah,
but
nice.
they did a American Werewolf in London.
They do a lot of the cartoon stuff. Like I like like the animation style like of some of the stuff, especially when it comes to like those old like 80s things that I was into.
Oh, G.I. Joe.
Hollywood Collectibles.
Yes.
Collectibles group. They did the Batman cowls from the first few movies first, and they did prop replicas.
Oh, I have seen
the cowls
those.
are untouchable. So I keep trying. If anyone out there has a 89 or Batman Returns cowl, sign me up.
Hit him up at hit him up at what? What's your
Tom the Rebuilt, I think.
Yeah.
Talk into the mic, man. You can't talk on your side.
So they did some great stuff, and then they did like the movies. I think they did like a Leatherface. They actually did a line of Ghostbusters statues, quarter scale.
I saw which those were really nice.
They did a Rocky.
Did they do
a life-size bust of Rocky?
Oh really? Oh jeez. I don't think I could put.
Yeah, no, I couldn't put that one up. And then there's like another one where it's like he's a
Battle Cat and stuff.
I have. So I bought their He-Man because they did a great He-Man and Battle Cat. It was phenomenal. I still in the box. So that's one of the problems we'll get to later. But shoot, what was it? What were you saying before?
Sorry, I missed.
No? Yeah, you mentioned something before the Rocky.
Oh,
I can't remember. Yeah, no, but there's a lot of there's a lot of other companies out there that make some great stuff. So we've actually mentioned this a couple times, but you've mentioned the custom statue, and this is an area I've never really dipped my toe in. I know you had more information than I did, and the first statue that I really wanted to buy, it's about maybe 2-3 weeks ago it happened. Somebody put out like a picture on Instagram of this gorgeous Mary Jane. Mary Jane is one of my all-time favorite characters in comic books. I love her. I think she's beautiful. And this is one of the most beautiful statues I've ever seen.
Your second favorite Mary Jane statue. You're welcome. The Sideshow one.
I don't have that.
You don't have it yet?
Oh, the Campbell.
No, not the Campbell. The Adam Hughes.
No, I don't
she's
have
watching.
That one.
tried to steal it from me once.
Yeah, I did, but you kept watching.
Look up the Adam Hughes Mary Jane washing Spider-Man.
It's
like
pretty
she's like
awesome.
leaning over washing his costume.
That's his?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I won that 7 o'clock in the morning on eBay on a Monday going into work. I'm like, I'm sitting in traffic. I'm like, oh, they have one. Somebody has them. Like, it ends in 10 minutes. I'm like, bid. I get to work and it's like, you won it. I'm like, cool.
But yeah, I went in, like, I had to jump through these hoops. And like, oh, you have to message this guy on Facebook, and then you have to ask to be part of this group on Facebook.
Yes.
And then, like, I had to go through these 3 things, and it's like, all right, well, you're going to get the announcement on when it's going to release, and then they're going to tell you when you can buy it from that release. I was like, okay. It came out $900. I was like, and this is probably like a 12-inch size or something.
It's like quarter scale, but still,
yeah,
it's a little much.
It was just like, yeah, I can't do it. It was gorgeous, but it's just out of control. Do you have any customs?
I have a few, actually. So I'll throw this like to Jim. Do you remember, like, in the 80s, a little before my time, but I've watched a lot of documentaries on it. Italian, I can't stop it. Like when they used to trade cassettes of like metal bands or like bands you never really hear of, and it was like, hey, I heard this band. That's kind of what the custom world has become. It's like you'll put it out on Facebook or on Instagram, and somebody's like, hey, this is out. We're not going to sell it to everybody. It's like you have to be in this group. Yeah. So then you'll see one picture. That's how I got into most of these groups. You'll see one picture. It's like, this is awesome. You hit up the guy that runs the group. The guy puts you in the group. Then he has another group like wherever where they talk about other statues, and then you're in all these groups. And now, like, I'm in like 10 groups where I have no idea what I've pre-ordered.
It's like the dark web of statue collecting.
It definitely felt that
art,
way.
And then, like, it gets to, like, you'll get to
some wear a condom going into this.
You'll get to some of these, and it's like, all right, we got shut down because, you know, you're doing custom, so you are going against, like, licensing or whatever. So some people will come down heavy, so you have to put it as fan art or, you know, whatever you're doing. So you don't use names like Clawman, and like Wolverine, and like have a weird name on the box or something like that. But
Long Claw Catman.
It wasn't Mary Jane, it was Mary Jo.
Yes. It's like you get to the point now, I think, where you kind of have almost a monopoly by Sideshow. I mean, they are going bad where it's not a monopoly, but there's so much coming from through them, and it's coming out to a price point where it's like $500 or whatever. So now you can go to where you're basically voting on what you want. So it's like Sideshow puts out, like, I mean, I love their recent Logan. I think it's phenomenal, but how many Wolverine statues do you need?
Right.
So you can get to the point where it's like, I'm sick of this. So then you go to a group, I vote, you know what? I'm in a group for a fan art currently of, I won't mention any names of any of these, like, whatever. I don't want to, you know, in case anybody's in the group or whatever, but I'm in for a Moon Knight. And the only other Moon Knight I've seen is you have a Bowen piece, which is awesome. I have one of those. There was the XM, which is hard to find. I'm not spending the money on that one. So I'm in for a custom Moon Knight because Moon Knight's character I care about and I like. So very hard to find someone like that. So why not be in a group, vote for somebody you want to see, and the pose, you're basically almost in it. So you are spending more money on it because these people are going out of their way. They're making the statue for you.
And it's not easy to make some of these statues. I mean, there's a lot of back end, you know, creating these things computer-wise.
3D printing. A lot of people now also, they'll make a one-off for themselves, but then they'll give you like the format to make it on your 3D printer, so you can make it for yourself.
That's what one of the things I was going to bring up too. So that is a huge market right now, and of course, I have a 3D printer. I have a, you know, that's a Prusa Mark III, which is a really high-end printer that is able to make all these statues. I mean, I can make any of these statues, and you know, as long as you have the time and put the time into, you know, they don't take an hour or two. Something like, to make a nice size statue, I mean, that's probably 40, 50 hours of nonstop printing. And that's if you got all the settings right and everything else. But, you know, some of these print jobs that I've seen and people painting these things, I mean, these things look just as, if not better than a Sideshow or an XM. And I was just showing TC one of a Mary Jane. And it was like the detail on her pants, on her jeans, her ripped jeans, well, like it looked so real. It was phenomenal the way that this, and it was a 3D printed statue, and it's absolutely amazing.
I think like we're at that point now where, you know, like that's awesome. Like you can make your own statue, you can design it, you know, build your own. But I think the true art of what the statue is now is like the paint job.
The paint job,
you can't just be like, well, Hulk's green. Here we go.
and that's just it. You're not going to get the fine detail. You're going to get detail. You can get the detail printed out. It all depends upon how much detail you want to put into it. Like if I just do a normal print job it may take 10 hours. If I want to do extremely detailed, that's going to bump it up to a 50, 60 hour print job. And people don't want to do that. So they'll print a rough copy of it, at least the best that they can do for, whatever amount of time that they want to do. And you're right, it comes into the paint job because that's where you're going to get the fine lines and everything else for that.
I think it's XM because I know a bunch of people have now done that Weapon X, like Wolverine with the helmet on. Because again, you've made the yellow suit, you made the brown suit, you made Astonishing, you made all his different suits. So now is a big interest in the like the Weapon X. XM did one where you can actually see like the speckles of water after like the thing broke because he's coming out of it.
I saw that.
So it's like you could see like vein detail, you can see the wetness. Like, where do you get this done?
And it's funny that you say that because the other thing that I'm starting to see a lot of, especially in the Facebook groups and these statue groups, is take an existing statue and having somebody repaint it. You've done that.
Yep. There's actually someone, I'll give her a shout out.
Give her a shout out.
I met her through Royal Collectibles again. She's done a couple of their pieces. So I had her do a couple of repair jobs for me. I had another line I'm a big fan of from DC Direct. I love the bombshells. Like I have every single bombshell, except for maybe some of this weird exclusives.
You even have the weird Aquaman one where he's dressed up as a sailor, which I'm a big Aquaman fan.
That's the most accurate portrayal of Aquaman I've ever seen.
Statue freaks me out. I won't have that statue in my house. I'll keep the mirror.
He's like, hello, sailor. But yeah, she did a really great job doing a repair job. And then I have this older Christopher Reeve DC Direct Superman. I think it was like late 90s, early 2000s. And it was
DC Direct one?
Yeah.
I think it was.
It was like the one where he was like kind of just saying like that.
It's mid 2000s because they did the line. It was Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, Michael Keaton, Batman, which I know because I have number 89 out of like 3,000 where they did. And that was lucky. I didn't buy that one on purpose. So, but I got 89, and it was Christopher Reeve. So it was like 2007, 2008. These came out.
Yeah, that might be right. Yeah. But I didn't like the paint job on it. Like the skin looked very yellowish. And I reached out to Yarly, and I was like, "Hey, do you think you could do something with this?" Like I explained to her what I wanted, and like I wanted to be more vibrant and have the colors kind of pop. And I sent it to her, and she did a phenomenal job. It's just it was like a total
And that's why I see a lot more people,
there's a group that they do that stuff.
And they just do the heads, though. A lot of them they work on the heads because that's where a lot of the detail comes from and where the paleness of it and all that.
I've seen people do it where they've done it to look like specific actresses. Like I can't remember.
Gal Gadot has some ones where they fixed up and they look beautiful.
Yeah, there's another girl. I can't remember what her name is, but she's like a supermodel or something like that. And they've like used her face because she has a really great like Catwoman style face. So I've seen people like I can't remember what her name is, but I've seen people like make them look like that, which is amazing.
And that's a whole other market besides this whole collecting statues is just getting them fixed, upgraded, repaired. I mean, I've got a broken one down here. I'm going to get her to fix.
Pietro, if you find him on Facebook, he's known for that, for fixing up pieces. Like he's done a lot of custom pieces. He paints like stuff. It's what, if you don't like it and you spent the money on it, why not spend a little extra and just make it something you want?
100%.
Fix it up. Especially if it's like a cool pose. Like why lose it? Like it doesn't pop the colors. Like I know Sideshow had a problem was like the paint job wasn't great on their Punisher they released where he's got like the skull face. Some people were upset with it, so a lot of people were sending it out to get it touched up, so it didn't look like he's got the skull painted on his face.
Yeah, I saw that. I really like that.
So the picture looked awesome, but like it just looked like it was just kind of stamped on some of them when they came out. So I know some people like got it where it looked a little bit more ragged, like he was been in a fire, he was kind of sweating down a little bit. And I know people were doing I don't know if they actually put it on any statues, and these are all customs, but I saw a lot of the statues with Thor's hammer on Captain America holding it, especially after Endgame. Epic scene, everybody loves it. So now why not just go get a custom hand? Throw the hammer in there, and now you got a complete Captain America statue, whatever you want. He's got the shield and the hammer.
That's great. That's great.
So let's talk about. We've talked about all the companies and stuff like that. Let's talk about some of the notable pieces we each have. I think Jim, you mentioned a few, but are there any others that you want to kind of mention?
I do have my mythos down there, my Boba Fett, which I stole that off of eBay from some guy in Canada. I think it fell off the back of a truck, and I got it for $200. And
did he thank you afterwards?
You know what's even funnier? It came from Canada, and I thought it was, when I first bought it, I was like, this is impossible. I'm getting this for $200 because it's a $600 statue, and I was like, there's no way in heck. And then all of a sudden, 2 days later, I get an email that it shipped, and he shipped it express priority Canadian delivery. Like I was getting it in 1 day, and I'm like, delivered by horseback. I'm like, I bought this statue. I thought it was going to come broken. Like it came in 1 day. All the way, and it came from the opposite side of the state in Canada. So it was supposed to take a week or two to get to me, but I got in a day, and I paid $200 for this thing. And it's a Sideshow mythos.
It is a beautiful statue.
It's a beautiful. I unfortunately broke the. It's going to get fixed, but that's one. And then my other stuff is I've got a whole cabinet of Star Wars, which is my love. Everything from my Code 3 stuff to my lightsabers. And then I've got a bunch that are just not open yet, which, I've got a Billy Tucci She over there, which I was fortunate to grab. And, I've got one I've never even opened up, the game, Batman, when PlayStation 4, I got the exclusive where it came with this.
The third game?
That was the Dark Knight.
Arkham Knight?
Arkham Knight.
That was funny story. That premium edition one was supposed to have a remote control since the game had the Batmobile.
No, yeah. This is not the Batmobile. This is the...
They never made the Batmobile.
I know that,
They
yeah.
failed, so they made that statue one.
And apparently...
They canceled my order last minute. I had to run them like, I need that statue.
Yeah, and I've never taken that out of the box, and I'm going to do a box open. It's been in my attic since I bought it, and I never had a place to put it.
I opened it up, took out the game, played the game.
Yeah. And then I've got, my ex...
Wonder Woman over there.
My Wonder Woman, which is pretty cool, and then
DC Direct stuff was very underrated.
I love some of that, and I'm a big J. Scott Campbell fan. I've got a bunch of his statues which I've never even opened. I'm gonna do some box openings and put them in my empty cabinets I've got. But I'm very particular. I'm very, very particular what I want to collect. I mean, there's so much beautiful statues out there, and I wish I can get them all, but they're pricey. First of all, I mean the prime ones. I would love to buy most of these, but I can't justify spending $1,000, $1,500.
I just bought the Batman Who Laughs from them. It wasn't even the problem with the price. I can deal with the price. It's fine. I like it. It's the weight. I think I live on the second floor, so it was like carrying this thing up the stairs by myself. I'm like, what is it like if I just let this fall and I save myself from the heart attack I'm about to get because I'm halfway up the stairs?
And they're great. I just saw, the prime one has a Superman, and it's like 4 feet tall, and it's a beautiful piece. And I would love, but
was that the Hush Superman?
Yes.
I think? Yeah.
Oh,
and where am I going to put that? First of all, where my kid is
with the giant, like
it's beautiful. But I got nowhere to put that stuff right now, and it's great. But I'd rather buy a big book. I'm very particular. That's why I got I got the Aquaman, and I ordered the Mara just because I needed them both together. And I also ordered the Sideshow collectibles, Black Manta.
Yeah, that Black Manta.
Forgot about that. That's not paid for yet.
Payment plans.
I didn't even tell June about that one yet.
I think at one point I was consistently having like the payment plans from Sideshow just hit me every month. Like,
and that's what I did.
I had like a year or two where it was really bad.
Like every month,
I think I was working to buy statues.
And that's I'm not. I don't have a lot on order. I only have 2 things on order. It's one is that Black Manta, which I just recently, after we sold we sold some books. I was like, that's a gift I'm going to give myself. And then the little child Sideshow collectible child.
Which, nice
but very particular. I'm very.
What about you, Tom? What are your notable pieces in your collection?
I mean, I went out and bought like the Miss Marvel back when it was, pre-Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and her like One Piece bathing suit.
Yeah,
I got the Sideshow one of that with the swap out heads. I got the exclusive. I really liked earlier Sideshow stuff. I got one of my favorite pieces, underrated, I think, not a big following, is Ghost Rider on the throne of hell. Like, he's got sit there, got the scepter, and he's got the little crown on it.
I don't think I've seen that one before.
That was a pretty awesome one. I like it. But like, I think I have to put my Grail. I think I have the Iron Studios 3rd scale Batman on the standing up, huge piece, gigantic, on the bat signal. I don't know. I'm very hit or miss. The first one that actually wooed me into buying statues was Sideshow. Again, had their relative start with, the Universal monsters, but they did a Jason for, I think, part 3. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Not my favorite Jason, whatever. Then they started making like other ones, and they made it was called like the Legend of Crystal Lake, and it was like he's on a mound of bodies. I'm like, I need this. I walked to the Best Comics. I'm like, I didn't know what exclusives were. And I'm like, how much is the statue? It's like, oh, we're going to order a few of them. It's going to be like $400. I'm like, $400 now. Take it. He's like, we got it in. I'm like, I need it. I think I drove straight down there, and I came home with this box. My mom's like, what did you buy? And I'm like, nothing. It was on sale. Which, guys, if you do buy statues, it's always on sale. Paid half price.
I heard that, like, someone who posed the question, what do you tell your significant other when you buy stuff?
On sale.
And like, I got it at a great deal. It was free. I was the 100th customer. or I just don't say anything and feed into the dark.
Sideshow points. Which is my move. That one a lot.
Yeah,
I think in my mind I've used a million of these points.
I actually just bought like a mini replica He-Man sword with all with just pure points.
I haven't used any of my Sideshow points at all yet. I still haven't used any of them.
My dedication to statues and my love of them, I think I've told you guys this one, was during Hurricane Sandy. My car is, after my father told me, don't worry, we're not going to get any water. And then the water started rolling down the block. He's like, just move your car up by the steps. It'll be fine. So now the water's hitting the cars, and the cars behind my cars are starting to get flooded, and like the alarm's going off. And I'm like, I have a Bowen statue in the back of my car. I'm like, it's a Captain American action one. I'm like, nope.
I have that one.
Risking my life on this one. I run out. I'm not joking, like, embellishing this one. The gutter is hanging on the power line to my house. There's 3 feet of water in the street. And everyone's screaming at me across the street, do not go out there. You're going to get killed. I'm like, it's okay. It's okay.
It's a Bowen.
I got statues. And I just grabbed the statue, and I think it was a DC Direct, like Batgirl, like New 52 or something. It was like, I just grabbed them, and I go running in the house. My dad's like, I thought you stopped buying statues. I'm like, not the time, Dad. And I just run straight through. I think my dog ended up taking a chunk out of the Batgirl like box, but I saved the Captain America.
It's a happy ending.
How about you, Tess?
I gotta say, I do have a first love. The first really big piece I bought was I think it was like 2013, the Superman premium format with the Heat Vision Eye, the exclusive. Yes. I had to get. I think I waited list that, and
it was their first go around. Sideshow was just getting DC's license. I think their first one was Joker. Yes, I think it was the Joker one. And I think when they finally got around to the Trinity, their big ones, it was like they started with Superman.
I love the Superman one. I didn't like their Wonder Woman. I did get their Batman one. Actually, I wound up getting the modern,
the blue one,
blue and gray. I love that Batman.
I missed the exclusive on the black one, so then I'm like, well, if I don't have the exclusive, I just gotta buy the blue one too. So I had the black and the blue one next to each other.
I mean, I had that
at 35 pounds each.
God. I had that 89 Keaton. I love that. I mean, I already said my probably the one I love the most is that Spidey 2099 Prime one. It's just beautiful. But I also there was another Superman, the one where he's holding like the Brainiac head.
Yeah, that's nice.
That one's beautiful. I mean, there's just so many. Like I have J. Scott Campbell ones.
I
don't like the new 52 suit. I saw that one. Yeah. I was iffy on it.
I saw the Batman they made, and it's gigantic. But it was really awesome. It was like the first Flash they did really well.
I actually have this really small, the really expensive Kotobukiya Spider-Man too.
I was there when you bought that. I love that one.
The Art FX. Oh, I love that one. There's just so many. I have 15 to 16 statues I don't have place for. Sideshow pieces that I don't have place to display yet. And that's with me saying that I have like 40 on display or more, 60. I probably have over 100, and I've slowed down because I've kind of focus more on buying comics again, but it's just there's just too many to really.
It gets overwhelming, and that's the problem. You can't get them all. I mean, they're so beautiful. stunning.
I mean, I get the Sideshow emails now, and I don't even open them.
Oh, I can't.
I delete it right away.
I'm afraid to go on the website anymore.
Yeah,
I know as soon as I do, it's going to be.
Anytime I get like, new, nope. Even like, I mean, this is a separate topic. Variants. Like, I won't even look at them anymore because I know if I see like a Gabrielle Diato, I was like, oh, I'm going to get that. But
it's like, I was talking to Jim earlier. He has a little Godzilla figure up there. Godzilla doesn't really have many statues. Like, they did one for the movies, 2 for the movies. I think Sideshow did them. And like they did like a couple other ones, but they're really big with like the vinyl, which is big in Japan. Their figures, which is like great. Oh, it's $200. Let me get into this. And now I have no place for these Godzillas I bought. It's like you find one thing and you think it's gonna be different, and then you realize there's space. Like I'm currently building like in my spare bedroom, like a 10-foot display with multiple levels, just so I can display relatively half my collection. So I still have way too many, and then you're just sitting there in storage. Now, are they breaking if they fall over because they're in a box? Some of them aren't packed, which I had a discussion yesterday. I went to actually Royal Collectibles, and we were discussing different types of packing on boxes. On some of the boxes are packed well. You're not worried about the box, statues breaking. Like, who would ever have this discussion?
Right.
But like, some of them has styrofoam where they give a lot, or some of them are the hard styrofoam where it's like a rock.
Right,
like,
right. They don't move.
Yeah. Like I have boxes. I don't even know how to get them. Like I have the Triforce. Also, they made a lot of video game replicas. Arkham Asylum. I have the giant Batman glove holding the Batarang. So the thing is like this wide with lights pointing at it. I'm like, okay, I guess I gotta buy a table. To put this on.
You need a house for all that.
You need a dedicated home for your collection.
Right. That's why it gets a little overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, like I have half a basement that I'm allowed to display my stuff in, and I'm maxing out space between art, comics, and
I've got a quarter.
I'm at max capacity. Yeah.
I've got a quarter.
I think I luckily have slightly more space than you that I'm allowed to use, but you're working on it.
I'm working on
space soon.
I'm working on it.
Like I'm kind of stuck in Jim territory of like where he's the Star Wars, I'm with horror movies. So now it's like, all right, so now I got my Marvel and my DC next to each other. It's like, well, I got 8 Jason statues, 2 Freddy Kruegers, a Chucky that needs to go on display. Michael Myers, they made an awesome one. Oh, that's 3rd scale. Let me just rack up.
That's why this one's staying Star Wars, and this is just gonna be everything else.
You got one Star Wars in there though.
Well, I got no room over there for that, and I want that one displayed because it's my only other. That's the only other Star Wars I have.
Can we talk you into putting another level on the house?
Yeah.
Just keep building up.
Just keep going up. And what's funny is I've got a 3rd display like this, and I don't even know where to put that.
That's another thing, and people don't know what to talk about. Displaying.
How do you display this stuff?
You can display up. You take the chance. This is like a high quality display, but I've seen detolfs like from IKEA or a big one people use. I've seen them shatter, not often, but that's scary enough prospect when you put a $400, $600 statue.
So I was lucky enough when we moved into the house about 12, 13 years ago. After our first year, my wife, she saw a card, like a Hallmark store going out of business, and they were selling these. They had hundreds of these things, and we ended up buying 3 of them. We bought 3 of them. I think they were $400 we paid.
That usually is the best way to try and get like
and
displays.
These are heavy duty. I mean, these are these aren't. They put they're what do you call those things, like the
keepsakes,
the Hummel, the precious moments, the crystals. That's what they kept, and they got the lights in there, which are great. Yeah, I've seen those ones from IKEA, the glass ones. I've seen them shatter. The slight vibration. They're gonna go.
And like I've done the IKEA, the Billy bookcases. They're good. You got to make sure they're mounted to the wall because you don't want them falling over. So I think it's very hard, to come up with
what you got is nice.
So those were IKEA pieces, the wooden ones. I forgot what they're called, but they're really only 2 level. Like you can't really go more than 2 level on those, and that's what I want because a lot of my stuff is heavy. So like it's like I think normally it's 50 pounds, but I got this like extra clip, which it moves it up to like 75 or 100. Which I have nothing that's there, but like I always, and it's thick wood too.
Yeah.
That's why like for the heavier stuff, I didn't trust the glass. Like I have one of those glass ones, but I only keep the very light bombshells on there.
This is the one time I'm like upset I didn't pay attention in math class. I'm like, how do I make I'm like, just put angles. I'm like, I don't know the load it can hold.
I mean, I think you both know that I'm pretty OCD. So what I did was I printed out every single statue I had, and I got the measurements. I got the measurement and weight measure, and that's how I figured out what I was going to display. And I actually really haven't swapped out too much, but I'm getting to the point where I think I do want to.
You want to see something new?
Stuff. Yeah, it's just like, I want to change it up a little bit, and I have stuff that I've never even opened.
So do the numbers affect your buying? So when I say numbers, like this box here, I've got 154 of 2000. Does it matter to you on any of these pieces?
I mean, would it be great to have a lower one or number one? Yeah, but I mean, that's not why I buy them.
I think the variation of I think the run of the statue is more important than the number. If you have what were they doing when DC got DC's line at Sideshow, they were doing 5,200 of these statues. And I don't think they actually made all 5,200. I think that was an estimate of what they do. All right, you have 5,200. That means there's 5,000 other ones just like that.
Yeah.
That one's, but when you have one of 50, I think that's very important. No matter what you have in one of 50, that's a big deal. But I have the Batman where it's 89. I'm like, that's
yeah.
awesome
I mean,
number.
stuff like that is cool. I have
Bojo has I think it's a bust of Hellboy, and he has number 666.
Oh, that's cool.
Awesome. Yeah. Something like that.
I have a buddy, Bruce, DM Bruce. He bought a statue from Tommy. It was number 1.
He thought it was 1,000.
He thought it was 1,000, but it was number 1.
001, yeah.
Was it 5,200?
Yes, 1 out of 5,200.
Yeah, which is still pretty impressive.
It was a bombshell. Joker and Harley.
Kiss, yeah. I have the Power Girl from Sideshow. I have number 1976, the year that debuted Power Girl. I'm like,
oh, see, that's cool. I guess if it's like that, it's got better significance. Yeah. Just like you have, an 89.
Yeah,
Batman, which is
89. Yeah,
I guess that makes sense. Do they number? I know they number the boxes. Are the pieces? I don't know. Are the pieces numbered too?
You have 154, and
there's another one.
So it'll be on the base or somewhere as well. All right, I think this is pretty good though. We think we covered all we could. If anyone has any questions, hit us up as always or comment. We would love comments.
And if anybody's selling any of the ones we talked about that we want, reach out to us.
Absolutely.
We need to feed these.
I'm still looking for that darn Michael Turner Supergirl that I want. It's driving me nuts.
That's out there.
It's out there, but I just,
it's the good stuff. I don't know.
It's annoying to.
I just picked up the Electro plated Iron Man finally. After that one.
Yeah, that was nice.
Nice.
All right, so I'm going to close it out with something that we've kind of done a few times. Do you want to talk about any recent pickups? They don't have to be statues. We can go outside the world of statues because mine isn't going to be statues. I'm going to tell you right now, it's comics.
Okay.
JJ, stuff. I haven't picked up anything recent yet. No, I haven't had a chance.
You got that Barbie book.
Oh, the Barbie book. The Barbie book. This was a pretty cool book. I just got this Barbie. Look at Barbie fashion.
Number 36.
Number 39. I don't know why I picked it. This just came in the mail today. I saw it.
Connor, right?
It's an Amanda Connor cover, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
It's an older book.
Clutch artist, beautiful artwork.
I'm not sure what year this was, but yeah, I saw this on Key Collectible for some reason. It came up, and I was like, "Oh, Amanda Connor." I was like, "This is cool."
Absolutely.
I've never seen a Barbie comic, and I'm a big scuba diver, so I just thought that was pretty cool to see a Barbie diving, and it's Amanda Connor.
That's cool.
We're a big fan of her. Her and Jimmy.
See, you got something.
There you go.
What about you, Tom?
Pickup. I've been debating actually. There's a third scale Ash from Evil Dead 2. Really debating that one. No place to put that.
Actual pickups, though.
But actual pickup, I got the Batman Who Laughs statue, and as a pickup, I bought a bunch of recent comics, going crazy buying some stuff. But I got a Frankenstein Reborn signed by Bernie Wrightson. And now Bernie Wrightson's no longer with us, but I'm like, cool. I loved his art. I always loved his art as Batman, Swamp Thing, all that kind of stuff. But it's that opportunity to get his autograph is now gone, and it's a beautiful book, beautiful cover, and it's signed in gold. And I'm like,
ooh.
I'm like,
is it graded?
No, I bought it raw. I'm like, you know what? I saw it. I'm like, I gotta take a chance. I don't.
Hey, send it to CBCS. They can verify.
It's like a 9.6, 9.8. So nice. I'm like, you know what? I'll be happy. It comes back that high, and
that'd be awesome.
Verified.
Cool.
All right. Well, I did pick up a few. So I've mentioned before, there are a bunch of runs I'm trying to do, but I'm trying to do this Master Universe one. But the problem is, so I'm doing the Star Marvel one. There's only 13 books in it, but I've decided to make a psychopath move and get all of them in 9/8.
Great.
So yes.
Nice.
So I have 2 so far. So I have all the DC ones.
Yeah.
DC was 1 through 4. I got all those. I have the first He-Man.
Graded?
Yes.
All 9/8?
Yeah.
Good.
Or maybe it was 1 through 3. I think it was 1 through 3. But now the 1 through 13, it's a little trickier to get all those in 9/8. A lot, they're rare. I have 1. I just got 3, and I was going through my collection. I have a really nice 13 that might be a 9/8. So I actually just brought that to Best Comics to send out for grading. Nice. But the really big book I got, and I think this was 2 days ago I got it, was no, not that big. I got an Amazing Spider-Man 670 CGC. Really pretty, presents really well. Down to 10 needs in my Spider-Man run.
That's fantastic.
Is A15 counted in that run?
No, it's not. It's only Amazing Spider-Man. I don't know if I'm going to go. It's just too much money.
If they let me back on this, I will start a GoFundMe for you. Just to see if someone can get you an A15.
That'd be great if somebody wants to contribute that. If I don't have to pay for it, I would absolutely take one.
Someone help this poor man out.
Please help this poor man who has so many comics, but he can't afford one. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up. This is an awesome episode. Tom, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You more than filled the Toy Story void.
Well, I am like twice his age, so it's like
that's totally fair. But we want to thank all you guys for listening. Please remember to like, subscribe, and follow us if you're watching this on YouTube. Also, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We use Twitter sometimes. Instagram, we're very active on. Facebook as well. And if you're listening to this via just ears, if you're listening to the podcast, please subscribe and rate us. And if you want to write a comment, maybe a nice review, we'd appreciate
that.
We like
that.
Yeah, communicate with us. We're good people. We like to communicate. All right, we're okay people. We won't say we're good people, but
we all met by accident. So be our friend.
We did. Hey, listen. Hey, this went from 2 people to 20. So it's a great coalition of friends. All right. Well,
would you say we're super friends?
Oh, absolutely. We're super friends. Well,
I'm Aquaman.
I know. I don't think you have an argument there. All right. Well, as we're doing this, I'll just say, remember, until next time.
Don't feed the geeks.